So clearly you're going to figure out real quick that I am not an audio-visual camera guy, but here I am, GDI Insurance Agency. I lift it up a little bit. I keep talking about hold harmless and indemnity agreements. It's 2 pages. I'm going to go over them with you right now. I'm actually going to read them to you. We consult also besides insurance. So one of the things I've had two houses that I've consulted on the policies, and I've looked at them and said, here's how they're going to work and such. And when I say consult, I mean working with attorneys for money, not just gee shucks in it. I mean detailed consulting. And here's the rub that I have. I really have a problem. And this is for you. This is really going to help you out. Okay, so if you're the guy or girl that is writing these agreements and you're saying, hey, look, you're going to come and do this work for us and you're going to name us as an additional insured. Holy shit, are you kidding me? Name you as an additional insured. Do you know how many additional, I got a book. I wish I don't have it here because I'm working from home. My book, the named insured book, is this freaking thick, that thick. So you want to be named as an additional insured? Guess what? Every other page is a different additional insured form and pages of what it covers and what it doesn't cover and why you want this one instead of this one and this one. So what I'm going to talk about now is very specifically, if you're going to hire a contractor of any kind to do any work at all, and you don't have what I'm just about to show you in your contract, in the state of California particularly, but I'm going to tell you anywhere else because I do business all over the place, this contract stands. This is it right here. I've had the best of them look at it. I mean, I was in Utah and I had to go to risk managers and attorneys and look, here's the indemnity and hold harmless agreement. Here's the insurance requirements. That's it. And we have big claims that aren't covered because of this BS. Look, so no offense, because here's the problem is you took a class and man, their video looked much better than this, right? Some hairy dude. I've been doing this 41 years, and I get out of camera. I wanted to kind of focus on this. I'm open up a little bit bigger because I'm working from home. So you guys will get it. See, I'm working from home. I got all these screens. This is another screen, by the way. Stuff on there, stuff on there. Then we can move the camera around. I got more stuff behind me. So I mean, it's a job. Let's get to the heart of it. I said all of that to say this. This, what I'm about to read to you, is exactly what should be in a hold harmless and indemnity and insurance requirements. So let's just start at the top, okay? Hold harmless indemnity. Prior to commencement of any work at, and GW says your company's name here, and all contractors and service providers must include the following in their contract or agreements and add this to them. Service providers, someone that's going to touch, so I have some big stuff that I insure. So let's take a $500 million plus building with all kinds of stuff going on there. Anyone that touches that building, touches it, is causing me a problem and causing the owners of that building a big problem, right? It's a huge problem. Come on, guys. Let's move on. It is required by written contract okay, you know why it says by written contract? Every additional insured form, every one that you read says as required by written contract, right? So let's not guess at it. I mean, you can't believe the one we just read. I was like, I mean, we're talking, I mean, it was for a house, into a hill, and it's not the one you're thinking of. This is the second one. So I'm sitting there, and the one I don't know at all, but the one he's thinking, oh, he's talking about me. I'm not talking about you, but it's the same situation, 3 foundations, and they oofed it, right? Anyway, it is required by written contract, that any and all contractors or subcontractors or service providers of any tier, up or down, until completion and final acceptance of the work, plus the state of California, Utah, whatever it is, period of repose as stated in the California, Utah, Nevada code, and we're going to cite the code for their work. So if you're in California, we're citing the code number for the work. The contractor, subcontractor, or service provider, by written contract, shall at the sole expense maintain the following insurance on its behalf and furnish the owner of any unit and directly to GW, your company's name here. Certificate, so where the yellow is, that means put your company's name in there, right? I've done this for you. Certificate of insurance evidencing the same, reflecting the effective date of such coverage as follows. The term contractor is used in this insurance rider shall mean and include subcontractors of every tier as well as service providers. So when we use the word contractor, it doesn't matter. Service provider counts. The guy doing anything, guy cleaning the air vents, your HVAC guy, I pick on him all the time. He's on a ladder. He's on your property. He falls. Workers' comp between him and his boss, right? He's on your property. He fell on your property. What does that mean he gets to do? Yeah, first party lawsuit against you, the property owner. You just do. And if you lease the property, against the person that you've leased it to and you. So now you're all involved in this, and this guy's got, nothing wrong with him, of course, or this guy or girl has nothing wrong with him, but that's the way it works. So you're going to provide workers' compensation and occupational disease, blah, 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 with $1 million. $1 million for worker comp, we all know that it's just whatever it is. This includes sole proprietorships. You're a sole proprietor. Oh, I'm exempt from workers' comp. No, you're not, because you're a drowning victim. You're in my $500 million building that I insure. You just fell and hurt yourself and you have no workers' comp. What's your sole source then of recourse? What's your sole source? A first-party lawsuit against my client. It's not happening. So you guys, independent contractors, and you guys writing these contracts, think about this for a second. Oh, I'm exempt? Yes, you're exempt. You're not exempt from getting hurt. Okay, anyway. And partners and officers, corporations will be performing work on the job, including waiver of subrogation in favor of GW says your company's name here, that yellow, okay? Commercial general liability with combined bodily, blah, 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 1 million, 2 million aggregate. The aggregate must be acceptable on a per project basis. Coverage must include the following: broad form bracket contractual liability. Everyone's doing pretty good on these things, but completed operations, products liability, broad form property damage, personal advertising, injury, independent contractors. I'll do a whole nother video on why that last one is very important. Independent contractors. Endorsements must be furnished, reflecting inclusion of the interests of the owners, construction managers, general contractors, GW says your name here, their officers, directors, partners, and here we go. You're going to name us as an additional insured. Okay, if you stop there, I got a book for you to read. Or let's just assume I'm right and move on. You're going to include each additional insured using the CG 2010, the 1185, or a combination of the 2010 413 and the 2037 413 combined. You need two. So either give me the 1185 version of the CG 2010 or give me these two. And you guys would say, and this is for construction, everything's different. This is if you're building $500 million buildings, $100 million, $10 million buildings. This $1 million house, $250,000 repair to my $500 million building that I'm insuring. This is what's got to be there. If it's not there, you just, there's no sense in the rest of it. No sense if you're not naming them by form, the additional insured form. If you don't name it by the form number, you might as well not even have it. It's ridiculous. I can give you anything then. I could give you the simplest additional insured form there is that does absolutely nothing for you, because you know what you're not thinking about? You're not thinking about them dudes paying us $4.25 an hour with a 10-hour minimum to sit there and read this little bit of the contract and say, oh, they're missing this, but what's the trigger? What triggers coverage? What triggers? Oh, they named me as an additional insured. You think that triggers coverage? If you got the right form numbers that I just gave you a figure, that's what triggers coverage. Now look, here's the problem you guys got. This is me. I've been in front of boards of directors with attorneys multiple times. There's no counting. I can't count. That's just what I do. And I'm a little animated because it kind of upsets me. Because, here's the deal. If you're my client, this upsets me. If you're not my client, good. I don't want the stuff in there. I don't want you tying my client back to it. And you know what this also means too? Because we're going to go down here a little farther. Just hang with me now. So we're also going to primary non-contributing and other, contributing with respect to other collectible insurance for the owner, general contractor, and GW says put your name in here, and other parties required to be named as additional insureds. Coverage to be provided on an occurrence basis with carriers licensed and doing business in the state of California, Nevada, Utah, Arizona, doesn't matter, or otherwise acceptable to GW, your company name here. A copy of the policy and or endorsements and other documents required to verify such coverages are to be submitted with appropriate certificates. You guys just miss that all the time. No, nobody thinks about looking at the policy. And you know what? You give me a 179-page policy like I just looked at the other day. You know how long it took me to get to where I needed to get to take care of this? I was done in 5 minutes. It's just, if you know what you're doing, you know right where to look. There it is. Bam. Good. Thank you. Approved. Stamped. Bam. Good to go. Okay. Anyway, a copy of the policy endorsement certificates, or upon the request of GW says put your company name here. Failure to provide these documents is not to be construed as a waiver of the requirement to provide such insurance. Now, here's the thing you got to understand is when a contractor signs this and they give this to their, I'm using the term lightly, broker that's an expert in construction insurance, and they want to get paid, and they're trying to throw a fastball across the plate, and someone misses something. You say, okay, good, we're paying them, and you accept that. Guess what? That does not relieve, see, every word matters. This does not relieve the contractor of the obligation. So when their insurance does not perform the way this would perform, see, if you do all of this, your insurance, we pulled the right trigger. If this is a gun, bam, bam, I got a trigger, we're pulling the trigger. Most of you guys don't have a trigger. You got the gun, and you're sitting there, okay, why isn't it going? Okay, that's what's happening. This one, I gave you the trigger, here it is, and guess what? Failure. Guess what failure means? Nothing. That contractor is now responsible. He's going to, or she is going to pay. Their business is paying as if they had the insurance. So these brokers that are big on getting their clients paid are killing them, because the period of repose in most 8 to 10 years, depending on what state you're in, for products completed operations, it's lifetime for bodily injury. Lifetime. Doesn't go away. Bodily injury just puts you out of business. But if you do what I just said, here's the deal. Why have a conflict? Why be in conflict when you don't have to be in conflict? The insurance companies are used to this. They're mature. They know what's going on. They're like, they're like, what are you guys doing when you say name me as an additional insured and then you don't put failure to provide? Anyway, let's go on. Commercial automobile, including hired and non-owned auto, of course. Property damage, $1 million. The umbrella, excess liability. If it's not $5 million, you might as well not have it. Okay, so that's for a small project. So you got your, I'm going to build $1 million house. It better be $5 million. Let me just tell you. Because someone gets injured, today's dollars, if it's not $5 million, you didn't even start. I got clients with $100 million umbrellas. One policy. Bam. I got another one with 150. Bam. I got a bunch of them with 10, 20, 30. Bam. And that's because things happen. Someone gets injured. What if someone falls 30 feet and breaks every bone in their body and they happen to be 60 years old? Okay? I'm 59, so I'm not there yet. What happens? Is $1 million going to cut it? Absolutely not. Who's responsible for it? You are responsible. You. And guess what? As we go now to, this is my favorite part, the indemnity. Well, hang on. General contractor approval, adequacy, protection, satisfactory to the carriers, And here's where you guys, there's another place. And I'm sorry, I'm picking. I am really picking on you, but I'm not doing it to be mean. I'm just saying, look, prior to the contract being accepted by GW, says put your company name here, all contractors of all tiers must submit for approval a list of their projects for the past 5 years with currently dated loss runs for general liability as well as workers' comp. Also, a copy of the contractor's OSHA safety plan must be submitted. No work is permitted to begin until all contractual items are completed and accepted by GW, says put your company name here, in writing, and approved work status shall be given. Now, here's the deal. Just think. Last time you had a contractor do anything, did you look at their loss history? How many losses they're having? Did you look at the projects that they've been doing and the kind of losses they've had? Because guess what? Here's a cincher. I'm going to help you out right here. This is going to save your project right here. The best indicator of what's going to happen on your project with whatever contractor you're working on is right there. What are their last 5 years loss history look like, and what projects have they been working on? And you know how easy it is for them to get that? They can make a phone call to me at my office or one of my staff. They're all brokers. We have all brokers at GDI. We don't have people just typing that don't know what they're doing. Everybody there gets it. Everyone's been trained. They understand. Within a day, within 1 day, we can get the application, which has your history of your projects and your loss runs. And guess what? You submit that with your contract and your additional insured forms. And here's the kicker. If you're a subcontractor and in 5 years you've built 20 things and have had 5 claims, I'm going to tell you, you're not touching my building. You're just not doing it. My job is to protect the building, the interest of the investors and the interest of the owners. That's why they hire me. Okay, I'm not hired to sell insurance. I get paid by insurance, but I also get paid by consulting fees and such. So it's great when you buy insurance, but you know what? If you use your insurance, here's the thing you haven't thought about. Something's gone terribly wrong. It's just wrong. That's why you're using your insurance. But here's the deal. The best indicator of what's going to happen in the future is what happened in the past. Think about it. When have you last asked for this ever? Nobody, and I've done this 41 years. The only people asking for this are people that know me and say, hey, you got to ask for this, and this is why. Of course you want to know this. Now, the whole harmless indemnification, you guys did pretty good, but to the fullest extent permitted by law, contractor doing work with GW says put your company name here, shall indemnify, hold harmless. GW says put your company name here, its agents, property managers, employees, blah, 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 and on it goes. It's a hold harmless and indemnity agreement. Now, when we put this all together, everything that I just did, it's 2 pages. If you would just take your insurance garbage out, take your indemnity garbage out, add these 2 pages instead, make it flow nicely. You could rewrite it a little bit. It's in Word. Make it flow nicely, and guess what happens? When the HVAC guy falls off the ladder in your project, a hammer drops on somebody's head in your project, they weren't wearing a helmet. Someone falls from the top rung of the ladder in your project, falls into the ditch in your project, gets impaled on the ground wire in your project. I've had it all happen. I mean, everything I've just told you, it's all happened, and worse. I'm not going to get into worse, but it's been pretty bad. So in 40 years of insurance construction, it's pretty bad. So what happens now here, remember we talked about workers' comp? This is going to now flip the responsibility for OSHA safety. See, it's all tied together. There's a thread going through all of this, and here's the kicker. This is the pin on so I give you the trigger up here. This is the firing pin right here. This indemnity and hold harmless agreement, because here's the deal. The guy gets hurt, they sue you, guess what you do? You flip it back. It's called action over or third-party action over. Nobody but me seems to know what it is, okay? Until you talk to me. Action over, third-party action over, briefly, very briefly, allows you to flip that injury back to the responsible party because they were responsible for safety. We made them responsible for safety, and guess what? We're calling OSHA too. We're not going to let them call OSHA. It's my project. I'm calling OSHA, and here's the safety thing they gave me, and here's what they violated, and here's how someone got hurt. Because the only way someone gets hurt, usually, 90% of the time, is they're not following trained safety guidelines. Now, here's the thing. We required them to give us their OSHA stuff. We required all of this in here. So what I'm trying to do is just tell you this, is I 2 times now, and one had 2 contracts, and this last contract was 1 and then a policy. And then the policies that go with all these other ones I've read, and it's like, everyone's missing this. Why in the world is everybody missing this? Why? What is going on that is missing this? And so I'm talking to attorneys that deal with construction defect litigation. And I'm showing them where in the policy this is covered and this is covered, except that the problem is they've been asked to be named as an additional insured without a form number. The book, I'm not kidding you. The book, I'll show you the book is this big. It's called the Additional Insured book. Come on, you're going to be asked to be named as an additional insured. Anyway, so I really hope, and I have some passion in this because I just spent 2 days and then over the last month, probably a week, going over this and trying to help. But it's hard to help if you don't do things right. But can you imagine if you started your project this way? Can you imagine having it exactly correct? The additional insureds are correct, and there's form numbers. I haven't even talked to you about what the form numbers mean, but the 1185, CG 2010 1185, was a complete form. The last complete form there ever was. So you need 2 other forms. And, by the way, there's addition dates. Each addition date changed the form. So you have 1 form, but, this edition, this edition, this edition. It's all right here. It's going to change every time there's a new lawsuit and the court says something else. But for right now, today, this is September 25th, 2020. This is it. Additional insureds. This is what you want to have. And here's why you want to have it. Because you're friends. The guy that's doing your roofing job, or the HVAC guy, you guys are all friends, right? So you're out to dinner, your family's out to dinner, you're all having a nice time, and you've got a $20 million problem. Guess what? It's not your problem. It's the insurance company's problem. Think about it. It's not your problem, and it's not your friend's problem. It's the insurance company's problem. Something went wrong. It wasn't supposed to be that way. We've now made it the insurance company's problem. Now, that's a big general statement. I'd have to read what you're doing. I have to read your contracts. I have to read the whole thing to answer that question for you. But generally, if you think about everything we went over, what did we do? We made the problem that you're having, we made that problem the insurance company's problem. So guess what you get to do? You and your friend with the $20 million roof problem are out to dinner with your families and you're having a nice time just like you always have. And you talk about it, say, yeah, when's the insurance company going to do this or that? And, oh man, we better call GDI and see what's going on because, GDI is helping us with the claim. And by the way, GDI does help you with the claim. So a lot of insurance agents, we're told by our professional liability, don't help with the claims. It's a little rough when you're consulting with attorneys already. It's also a little rough when you're our client and it's like, oh, so I sold you a policy and I'm not going to help you with the claim. So, here's the deal. I don't really quote insurance or sell insurance. What I do is all of this and I tie it all together. And then the key, what GDI does differently is we want to get you efficient pricing, efficient. So efficient is this. Here's your risk. Here's your risk, right here. Your risk is here, and your premium is here. There's a space in between. That's where all the expenses and profit, and we get paid, and so does the insurance company, right? If GDI helps you reduce your risk, because we just transferred it all to everybody else, and your risk goes down, what happens to your premium? Isn't it more efficient when you have less risk? Let's just have less risk. That's all. So this is risk transfer, contractual risk transfer. Now, you've heard of contractual risk transfer. It's in insurance policies. Let me assure you it is not what you think it is. It's not what you think it is. So that all being said, I'm going to put the glasses back on. You're going to get a little bit of glare so I can finish up. This is a long video, but I hope it was worth it because I just went over the key to making things right. So if you've taken these classes before, they didn't get to this. I know they didn't get to this because nobody's doing it. So think about what I just said. Rewind it and listen again until you get it. Take some notes. Okay, I'll probably print this all out too. So this is just a rough draft. We'll get it into a blog and we'll get it someplace where it's usable for you. And think of this, just for a second. Why wouldn't you call GDI and let us just help you with your project? Here's my commercial. It's just a commercial because I don't see anybody else doing this. Nobody else is doing what I just did. Nobody with GDI is tying your insurance to your contracts. No one even asks about your contracts except us. Oh, I want to see them. Hey, I just got a small account. They have a strip mall. It's full of car people. They're doing car repairs. It's a nice strip mall and such like that. I read the lease, and guess what? I said, well, who wrote this lease? Oh, it's a standardized real estate, blah, 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 piece of garbage. And I said, well, let me talk to the realtor because you got to put this addendum, and I wrote it out. Haven't put this addendum in here. And I took all of this, and I stuck it in the lease. And you say, well, gee, how are you going to do that? I just modified it for the lease. That was it. It's no big deal, but indemnity and hold harmless is a big deal. The proof of insurance, nice, but give me an additional insured form because they got all these cars and stuff all over a parking lot. The parking lot is a common area. I need an indemnity agreement. I need a hold harmless agreement. I need a couple other things. And also because it was garage, I had to change the terms and stuff. But let me ask you this. So did I get paid for selling the policy? No, I got paid for helping. I helped. They happen to need an insurance policy. See the difference? You happen to need one. But if you did this, if I was a general contractor, by the way, and I did this right, and I did no work at all, and I got the right, you got to get the right insurance policy too, because not every insurance policy is the same. But I had the right insurance policy. I make the argument that they only need $250,000 of coverage just for defense. They don't need multi-million-dollar defense. If we set them up right, and they're a general contractor or a developer, we can set it up right. They don't need a bunch because the subcontractors are going to do it. Or we should go with an OSIP or a CSIP or all kinds of stuff. I mean, there's all kinds of ways to skin the cat, but it starts with understanding contractual transfer. This is it right here. Sorry, I know I talk too much. You guys have a great day. And no offense either. I was just trying to oh, come on. How come I just read all this and not one piece of this was in the contracts I read? It's amazing to me. I'm just amazed that I read. And by the way, don't feel bad because these are small contracts. I'm talking $10, $15 million contracts. Same thing's true of $500 million contracts. Same thing is true. I got one close to $1 billion that I've looked at, and it's like, okay, let's see your gig, and you're kidding me. You're absolutely kidding. I'm just amazed at what I see sometimes. And it's so easy to fix. It's just that the people don't understand it. And also, no offense to the attorneys or the risk managers and such, they take classes. I've been doing it for 41 years. That's my class. Plus, also, I take classes. I take the construction defect, litigation, mitigation classes and all that other stuff, and I read all that things, and I pull all this stuff down and put it together. So I'm not an attorney. Don't act as an attorney. Don't charge for it. Just hear it. And I say have your attorney review it, which, by the way, will have your attorney talking to me, which is a good thing. It's not a bad thing. Take an hour or two of your attorney's time, let them read this, let them incorporate it in your contract, and let them talk to me. I'm happy to explain, because this is just it. I got backup material like you can't believe. Every sentence I got in here, I got something to prove why it needs to be in there. So anyway, you guys have a great day. I could keep talking about this forever. I'm just flabbergasted, I guess. Flabbergasted on what's not in a contract. It's 2 pages, guys. Come on, 2 pages. Now, it's a little bit of work. It's not what you've been doing. You're going to do some different work here. Whoops, I messed my thing up, didn't I? Okay, there we go. You're going to do a little bit more work, but you think you're going to do a little bit more work, but you're just doing it up front. You're going to do the work one way or the other. You hire some contractor, like I said, that's had 6 claims. Get a big project and have some guy that's had 3 big old workers' comp claims where people lost limbs and such. You're going to have him work on your project. That sucker's going to get shut down. OSHA's not going to play with you. And they shouldn't. It should get shut down. It should be safe. If it's not safe, don't work on it. That's what we're saying. Anyway, you have a great day. Thanks. Bye-bye.